Climbing protection, or PRO, is used by trad climbers when they're ascending cliffs. It's broken down into active and passive gear. Passive gear is the most basic and a staple on trad racks. The rack is, of course, your collection of gear that's used by the trad climber. The most used piece of passive gear, those are nuts. These are also referred to as chocks. Most climbing gear companies produce their own style of them, but they're all basically the same. They're wedge-shaped pieces of metal, which are wedged into cracks in the rock. A wire runs through them, and a carabiner can be attached to this wire, so you can clip it to a rope or to a draw. Nuts range in size, with the largest usually around 1 inch on the short side and 1 1/3 inches wide on the long side. Micronuts can be very small. They have a low strength rating, and they should be used only for direct aid and are made of soft metal with the wire soldered on. They can be smaller than 1/5 of an inch on their longest side. Most racks will start off with a set of nuts and then double up on the sizes that you use most often. To remove nuts which become stuck, a nut tool is often required. Hexes are another type of passive gear, primarily used for sizes larger than nuts will cover. These 6-sided chocks are wedged into cracks and are designed to be placed width or lengthwise. Hexes usually have a metal wire threaded through them, but may have a nylon sling instead. Hexes typically range to up to about 3 inches in width. For the size of cracks they can protect, they're really lightweight. Many climbers start their racks with nuts and hexes and then add active gear as the budget allows. Spring-loaded cams are active protection and cover a large ranges of crack sizes. A cam is placed in a rack and, when a downward force is applied, pushes the lobes against the rock to try and stay in place. Cams usually have 3 or 4 lobes, 3 lobes typically for the smaller sizes. They have an effective range in which they can protect, which is different than the total range they have. A typical 4-lobe cam set has a total range of about 1/2 inch to about 7.5 inches. The actual effective range is different for each cam design and dependent on what a climber is comfortable with. Before buying cams, you should talk to local climbers in your area and ask which sizes they use most commonly, and start from there. Single axle cams are the lowest cost, but also have the narrowest range. Dual axle cams have an increased price, but they also come with that added range. New cam designs are arriving on the market all the time with increased usable range. One model uses a design that, as the cam is retracted, the cam lobes actually unfold. Cams have wire stems and can be single or double stemmed. This often comes down to a personal preference, but most dual axle cams are single stemmed. Many specialty cams are on the market, which include cams with lobes of different sizes for flaring cracks, micro cams for small cracks, even extra large cams with the size of your pretty much the size of your head for climbing super wide cracks. Specialty cams are usually added to the rack after a solid rack of cams is purchased because they are fairly expensive. Tri-cams are metal wedges with curved sides that can be placed actively or as a normal nut would be. They're very good pieces of gear to place in horizontal cracks. They use a webbing sling opposed to metal wires, which wear out when loaded in horizontal cracks. Big bros are tube chocks, which are spring-loaded tubes which expand to the width of the crack, and then a locking collar is tightened down. These are good wide, off-width cracks. Unless you know you'll need them, they should be purchased later on.